So the Christian ethic of how men are to treat women and women are to treat men is radically different from Islam. They're not the same religion. And this whole idea of multiculturalism, that all religions are the same, it's just not simply true. Any honest scholar, academic knows that religions are not the same, and they lead to vastly different conclusions, different ethics, different civilizations. And it is important, it's important what type of values that we are based on. Are we going to value women as made in the image of God and not sex slaves? Are we going to value husbands to be respected by their wives? Are we going to value men and women made in the image of God? Are we going to adopt multiculturalism, this feminist culture, which is misandrous and hateful of men, and says men should be the slaves of women? No, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says the husband is to love his wife unconditionally, even when she's unlovable. And the wife is to respect the husband unconditionally, even though she feels he's unrespectable at times. And that really is a formula. God's formula is the best. Because men need respect. They crave respect from people, and especially the people they live with and their wife. If she respects him, they will feel valued. Women crave love. And we're speaking generally here. Not saying that women don't desire respect. Of course they do. But love is critical for them. To know that the people around them love them, appreciate them, value them. They love being around them. This is the civilization upon which the Western values that we enjoy today, freedom of the press, freedom of having your own voice, freedom of sovereignty, freedom to state your opinion, freedom of association, to associate with people who you want. Look, nobody here, they did a study where they found that Christians are actually more tolerant than leftists, people who are atheists. Because atheists don't believe in God, and atheists who adopt multiculturalism pretend to be tolerant, but if you have a conservative view, or if you believe Christians have a good civilization, well, you're racist, you're misogynist, and you're excluding other religions. Well, then you're not tolerant of people's views. People are able to have a view other than multiculturalism and relativism. And this is a big deception of relativism, is pretending that it accepts all views when it is the most intolerant view that says only relativism is true. Every other view is wrong unless you conform to relativism. That is a form of authoritarianism. That is a form of collectivism. That is a form of radical ideology, which is posing to be tolerant when it's intolerant. And that is, of course, coming out with the left. The left is showing itself, and of course the Rhino Republicans too, showing themselves to be intolerant of people and American citizens and people just worldwide who want freedom, sovereignty, who don't want a big federal bureaucracy telling them what they can and cannot do, regulating them out of existence, supporting monopolies, colluding with some of the most dangerous banking cartels in the world. We don't want this anymore. We want freedom. The freedom that God gave us to be sovereigns. In the kingdom, God says we're going to be co-heirs with Christ. That means we are crowned kings and queens of the kingdom. It means that governments are illusions, facades. Not to say that, no government is necessary. Some government is necessary. Some portion of government is necessary. Not to regulate the people and to help monopolies, as it is now in the West, but to be servants of the people, to be servants. That's why in the Chinese Constitution, the Kingdom of God, the government will not be able to exceed 10% of GDP and never grow beyond 10%, because it has to remain in the servant's position. It has to remain serving the people, not being the master of the people, dictating what people cannot do, and using people as a cash crop, human tax farming. Everybody knows, of course, as you know, that is why federal income tax is illegal. People are the ones, entrepreneurs are the ones who are making the money, and it's being stolen from them. And Russo, famous Hollywood director who made a documentary film on that, got killed for exposing the IRS and exposing that tax is illegal even according to U.S. law. Guys, put up a picture of Aaron Russo. He was murdered. He was killed for exposing the IRS is illegal. The U.S. didn't have a federal income tax until 1914 when the Federal Reserve came in and started tax farming this population. That's why everybody in the world wanted to come here. It's not because we were perfect. It's not because we had no flaws or conflicts, but because people could be free. Just like the Bible says, you could reap the harvest of your labor from the sweat of your brow. But now it's a suffocating environment. You have to pay like up to 50% of your earnings to the federal bureaucracies and their endless deep state, which is 4 million plus federal employees. Which compared to the private sector, they get more benefits, they get more, and they're not even making any money for the economy. They're just taking it from the taxpayers. This is why this is a rigged system. This is why it's human exploitation. This is why it's the exploitation of honest people. And this is why Americans are sick and tired of being a cash cow to the super elite class. Because many of the immigrant families who came from communist nations and dangerous societies know this is how communists operate. They lie to the public saying they're going to give them free this, free that. It always starts with free lunch for children because they use the children to get their agenda passed through. And then it always ends up free this, free that, the purpose of which is to raise taxes and to farm the people and collude and centralize power and money and assets to themselves. And by the end of it, you got North Korea with a super elite class that owns everything and the people own nothing. That is the inversion of God's plan. In God's kingdom, God didn't give the Garden of Eden to Lucifer. He gave it to Adam and Eve. He gave it to his children. It doesn't matter if Lucifer thinks they're worthy or not. It doesn't matter if Lucifer helped him create creation. It doesn't matter if Lucifer has superpowers. It doesn't matter. God gave it to his children. No matter how imperfect and no matter how flawed and no matter how un-superheroic we seem to the archangels. Their opinion doesn't matter. God gave sovereignty. God gave ownership. God gave freedom to humanity. And if you defend freedom and if you defend people's right to say things even though you don't agree with it, hey, we want people to have their opinion. We don't have to agree on everything. It's the crazy left and the run Republicans that want to censor people who have conservative views, want to censor the conservative movement, want to censor the freedom movement, want to censor websites and organizations that have a different narrative than CNN and MSNBC, totally fake news. Who's trying to censor who? It's not the liberty movement trying to censor lefties. It's the lefties are losing in the debate and they're losing in the information debate. And that's why they're losing the war of ideas and that's why they're panicking. That's why they're trying to censor everything. But you can see that is a desperate clutch of power of a totalitarian regime that is dying because people are thirsting to be free and to stop having some official tell them what they can think or what they can say. Christians are tolerant people. We want an open society. We want a lot of diversity, but we don't want to be censored. We also want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. That may make people offended, but it's freedom of speech. It may make people feel bad. Well, you make Christians feel bad when you tell them that your truth, multiculturalism, is the absolute truth and that God doesn't exist and that you're crazy if you believe in Jesus. You don't think Christians feel bad? You don't think they got red blood running through their veins? You don't think they got feelings too? Your opinion is offending Christians, but yet your offensive opinion is okay. But if Christians have their opinion, preaching about Jesus Christ, preaching love your neighbor, preaching about God's kingdom, well then that's offensive and that has to be banned. Give me a break. What an incredibly hypocritical double standard. And anybody with a logical mind, that's why the left is losing the war of ideas. And of course, the Rhino Republicans that sold out the Republican Party to the same funders. It's the liberty movement that's taking over. It's the liberty movement made of all races, creeds, colors, and backgrounds that are just human beings trying to seek freedom and trying to seek a purpose in their life, trying to live their lives without some bureaucracy ruling over them. Just getting off their backs so they can be free and get and grow old with their wife and children without some intrusive political officials lecturing us about what we can and cannot do. It is crazy. It is crazy, crazy time. We're going to take a short break now, but we'll be right back with Master Jojo talking to us. He's a master in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, master at martial arts, a tremendous man, tremendous father. He is my personal instructor here in the U.S. He just wipes the floor with me every time we train. He's amazing. And of course, training all the ninjas here. We're going to be joined with Master Jojo talking about all sorts of things. But I want to talk about BJJ. I want to talk about his philosophy. I want to talk about how he's transformed lives. I want to talk about why he studies such a violent art of strangulation and crippling. And he's such a nice guy. How is that possible? You can study such a dangerous art and be such a nice human being and person and person that wants to lift the people up. Oh my goodness, he must be racist and bigoted and misogynist. Oh goodness, give me a break. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.